Hi everybody. Sorry it took so long for me to get this video out. I wanted to get it out a lot sooner, but had a lot of outside influences trying to stop me from doing this. But this is the testimony, finally the testimony of me surviving COVID-19, my experience in the hospital and everything I went through. I'm breaking this up into like 15-minute videos. I did one. It was, my wife and I agreed it was way too long. I was trying to get it out for my birthday. Didn't work out like that. But here it is. I'll be sharing the testimony, be sending ending with thank yous to those who really came through for me during that time, and then the last videos will be me explaining why being ending up in the hospital with that, going through that, was my own fault. So I was just gonna jump into it. So I was sick. I thought I had just caught a cold. I had worked out one day. Next day I was feeling sick, and I'm doing my normal stuff, what I usually do when I get sick. To drink my apple cider vinegar, but I'm getting worse fast. I'm getting weak. I'm getting feeling really weak. I'm needing help to get up, and I start thinking this ain't normal. I think this is COVID. My wife's like, "Oh, that's in your head." Da, 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 da. And she was like, she just really didn't think I didn't have it. So I'm like, well, maybe I don't. So a few days go by, and I'm like, it's getting worse. I'm like, I think I'm really starting to think this COVID. So she's like, well, you need to go to the hospital then, if you really think it's COVID. So we go down to the hospital. We go up. They're not letting anybody in. They go to test. They go to test me, which if you've never had it, is one of the worst things that you will ever experience, man. It is awful, man. They stick up your nose, and they gotta hold it for 5 seconds, and they ring out. And when I say up your nose, I mean all the way. Feel like it's touching your brain, and it hurts. It hurts bad. So they said right now there's nothing they can really do for me. So they said it'll be 10 days before the test come back. I'm like, okay. So I go. They give me some papers. I go back home. Now, meanwhile, I'm supposed to go to work the next day on Friday. And I'm like, I can't go to work like this. Mind you, I just had my gallbladder out in January, and I ended up missing 2 weeks of work. And then they ended up, so it's Friday. This is Friday. Saturday, I'm supposed to go to start back working because that's my Monday. And I'm like, I can't go to work like this. And I'm like, I'm gonna need to get a doctor's note. I'm like, I don't know. So I go look at the paperwork they give me. They say after 3 days, if you're feeling worse, come back. I'm like, after 2 days, if you're feeling worse, come back. It had been 3 days at that time. I'm like, and I told my wife, and she's like, okay, let's go. I mean, I'm out of it. I feel horrible at this point. But the thing that made it worse, why I knew I really need to go, is because I had went upstairs and I really couldn't breathe. I was having a hard time breathing, and I was like, this ain't right. I was like, I need to go to the hospital. And so when this first time we went right in, pulled up. It was 2 cars ahead of me getting tested. This time we went, it was the line was just ridiculous. We waited in that line 6 hours. Because again, you couldn't go directly into the hospital. You had to go if you were, unless they, basically, unless you had an emergency case. I don't know what they declared an emergency, but whatever. They you had to get in that line. And so 6 hours we were out there, and one guy, he was just he say, my wife was like, yeah, he was here before. I was like, well, what do you want us to do? That's what the guy said. Well, what do you want us to do? He was here the other day. What does he want? And it's like, freaking help me. I'm sick. I'm like, do something. And so he was like, because a lot of people were getting out of line because they were like, it's going to be at least another 2 hours for you. This even you even get up, we even get to you. So he was trying to get people to get out of line, and some people did, but I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving this hospital until somebody help me. I'm like, no way. I am not going back home. I feel too horrible. Y'all got to do something. That was my mentality. So my wife pulls up there, and they test me. They go and they test me and they tell me, and then they go. Now everybody else they tested and leaving. They said, I don't know if they saw my oxygen level or what, but he said, he's like, we're gonna go ahead and admit you. He's like, I can look at you and tell you're in really bad shape. He said, so we're gonna go ahead and admit you. So that's what they did, and they took me in, and that's about as much as I remember. I remember answering a few questions, but I was in there 2 days, I guess awake, but I don't remember any of that because after 2 days they said I crashed. They said I went completely south. My lungs were filling up with fluid, and my organs was going septic. So basically they were all trying to shut down. So the doctor made the call, which is like when I went in there, they didn't have a direct approach to COVID. They were still trying to figure anything out, and they told me, they said mostly, after the fact, they were telling me like mostly everybody going on a ventilator dies, but they had pre-existing health conditions. So when I came in and I didn't, they were like, okay, well, somebody's going to live. It's going to be this guy. He don't have any serious health conditions. So she was like, well, we need to get him on dialysis ASAP. So they ran and they put me on dialysis. I forgot how much Jason, my respiratory therapist, he said, but they took some liters off of me through the dialysis. The whole time, like I'm out at this time. I don't know. I'm not aware of anything. I'm just telling you what people have told me from what was going on. My wife texted me and she told me. She texted me and I texted her and told her that they were gonna put me on a ventilator, and she called me back and like, that's not something you text. It's like they're gonna put you on a ventilator. I guess I didn't think it was a big deal. The ventilator bit, because again, I didn't know anything about the ventilator, what it does or anything. I'm like, okay, I'm just expecting they're gonna take care of me. I'm like, because I'm like, I didn't know. I texted her because I didn't know she was gonna be able to talk, and I wanted her to know that once they put it in, I'm not gonna be able to talk. So she was like, she called me immediately back. I don't remember any of this. She showed me the text after I got home. I'm like, why would you? I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, so again, they're rushing me. They're room to room. In the rushing around the room, my clothes and my phone get lost because again, can't even fault them. Because like from what I was being told by the nurses and the therapists, it was like it was hectic. Trying to get me stable. Because I was going down, and so I was. They were like, my wife was calling up there every day, man. Oh man, like I love my wife. You could tell them nurses. It was like when they would, even after I woke up, they would come like, your wife called. It was like she called again, and it was like she kept calling up there. She was calling up there a lot, and they were telling her things like they were trying to get a machine in to be able to turn me, but they didn't know if it would be in enough time. They wanted it as quick. So until the machine came in, she said they had like 6 people turning me over. It would take like 6 people to come in. Yeah, I was a big boy. I say was because I lost like 25, 30 pounds while I was in there for that time. But so they would turn me over. They did a lot, man. Like I'm really thankful that God sent people that really cared, that was concerned about helping me, because I have seen and been to like one. I said I would. It was fun. I'm not even gonna go into that. But anyway, you know what, I will, because it was Boxford then. It's Beaumont now, but when it was Boxford, they were. It was some awful people. It was because I had my son there, and man, I was about to set that place off. I don't know what made me, because I had, I don't even want to get into that. I'm gonna stick with the story anyway. So I'm in there, and I'm out, Now, I'm asleep, but what I went through, do I want to get into this now? Because it's gonna take, yeah. The what ended up happening was while I was out, it was like one of the worst things I've ever been through, man. Like when I tell people I'm not going to a hospital again, what happened when I was unconscious would make me not want to go. Like I am not. I told God I can't do that anymore. Like no, I would rather just cross over because when they woke me up, when I finally woke up and they told me I was under 18 days, my immediate reaction, I said, no, it's been like a year. It's like 18, no, it's been like a year. I like, no, like it couldn't have been that long because when I was out, like people's like it was a dream, but it wasn't like a dream. Cause you know when you wake up from a dream, you was like, oh man, I had a bad dream. It took like a week for me, probably longer. No, it didn't take like a week. It's like 4 days, like 3 or 4 days for me to accept that all that stuff wasn't real that I had went through. Because I was basically all these scenarios. When I was in there, it was like a dream, but it was like, it was more real. It was like, it's difficult to explain, but it sucks so bad, man. Oh, man. I wouldn't put that on nobody. You think of the most awful person, nobody deserves that, man. But I was taking through all these scenarios, man. Some of them I'm not even going to talk about. I don't even want to think about ever again. They were, I don't even want to even talk about. But some, like one of them, the coronavirus had wiped out everything. If you ever watch the show The Walking Dead, that's what it was like. It was like a wasteland. It wasn't like zombies walking around. It was just like a wasteland. People like piecing together cars and to and doing what they can to survive. Some people stopped to help me. I was injured. In all these scenarios, I was sick or injured. So a bus stopped to help me. It was a family driving, and they stopped to help me and my family. And and then they took me on the bus, and they were worried about getting sick from me, and they were like, well, if he doesn't get better soon, because they were waiting to see if I was sick from the virus or just sick, and they were like, well, if he doesn't get better soon, we're going to have to leave him. And when a thought, it was more like a voice came in my head. It said, just tell them to take your family and go, and you just stay here and die. And my immediate response was, nah, as long as they're willing to give me the help, I'm going to take it. And then it was another one. This was one, it was like, through my wife, it attacked me a lot. It was another one where I was like, again, sick. And I heard her talking on the phone, and she said, I don't know. She said, I done figured out what I was going to do. She was like, I didn't know what I was going to do if something happened with Robert. We just bought this house, we got these bills to pay. So, I figured out, she said, I got this following on social media, and I met this guy, he got a following. And I'm going to take him, so we going to combine and our pages together so we can, combine our following. And she said, and I'm going to take him as my second husband in case something happened to Robert. And I'm hearing this, but at the time there was no thought of me having a family to fall back on. There was no thought of friends. I felt alone. Like there was nobody else. There was nothing else I could do. And because I was sick, I didn't have I probably went ape nuts, but because of I was sick, I really couldn't do anything. I had a nurse coming to take care of me at home. It was, like I said, this was like real life. So I'm sitting here with the guy, and I'd be up downstairs like playing video games, and they'd be upstairs, and I'm just sitting here like man, like what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And it was just like, and like when I tell you I thought that's real, when I woke up, my first thought was, I'm going to tell her I can't do this whole second husband thing. Like she going to have to choose. Like I really thought this was real. And it went on, different scenarios. She ended up getting sponsors to sponsor 100 kids to go to Disneyland. And I'm like, man, it was just like, and then again, people like, oh, that's good. It's like, no, the second husband is there. And she was praising me and telling them how much she loved me, and she thanked me. And he was just like, oh yeah, he the good dude, huh? And I was like, oh, it's about to be beef with this dude, man. But I am going to continue this on part 2. I've hit the 15 minutes mark. I shouldn't have going into it, but all right. I pray that I shall have it. I plan on putting these out every day until everything is out there. So just bear with me, and I thank everybody for watching. Bless you. Thank you.